Hi, I'm Marty Nimco. Aesop's fables are unsparing. Hiding behind the animal characters, Aesop speaks unvarnishedly about the dark side of the human condition. Thought of as children's stories, some of them, the fables that is, contain trenchant lessons for all of us. One is The Mischievous Dog. In this one, a dog's owner was tired of other animals complaining that cur was ever nipping at their heels, so the owner tied a bell around the dog's neck. The dog thought it was a badge of honor. Well, here's an interpretation of that for adults. Sometimes we honor or praise someone because we're afraid of them and want to avoid their antipathy. As Machiavelli wrote, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. So when you get a praise or reward, stay aware of whether it's legitimate or an attempt to neutralize you. The next Aesop fable I want to talk about is called The Fir Tree and the Bramble. A fir tree boasted to a bramble, "You're useless. I'm important for building houses." The bramble replied, "When they come to chop you down, you'll wish you were a bramble." Here's an interpretation of that for adults. Beyond a modest income, you may have burdens in excess of the pleasures, worrying about investments, tax strategies, insuring all you have, keeping up with the Joneses, and so on. Plus, you may be subject to being chopped down by jealous coworkers, neighbors, and dishonest purveyors of everything from timeshares to service-hungry, breakdown-prone so-called luxury cars. It may be wisest to aim for just modest housing, cars, clothes, colleges, vacations, thereby both freeing you from some worry and allowing you to choose a career you would enjoy more, even if it paid less. The next of the Aesop fable I want to share with you is The Wolf and the Lamb. The lamb was sweet to the wolf, but was devoured anyway. Here's an interpretation for adults. We like to think we'll be rewarded for our kindness. Alas, we've all seen people who give and get taken for granted, or even are seen therefore as patsies and then destroyed. Be careful where you bestow your gentle spirit. The Cock and the Jewel. The cock tosses aside a jewel, saying he'd rather have a grain of barley. The proverb that derived from that was, "Don't throw pearls before swine." And here's an interpretation of that for adults. We all have certain gifts, perhaps of intelligence, kindness, artistic ability, whatever. But only some people will appreciate our gift. Especially share your gifts with those who will appreciate them. Mice in Council. Tired of the cat attacks, the mouse council agreed that a bell be put on the cat so when it neared, the tinkle would warn the mice. But the council members, scared to do it, left to the other mice to pick someone to put the bell on the cat. An interpretation of that for adults? It's easy for government, bosses, and romantic partners to issue edicts. It's often more difficult to execute them. Before acceding to an edict, ask how it might practically and wisely be implemented. The Stag and the Fawn. A stag admits to a fawn that while he may bellow and stamp his feet, on seeing a hound, he runs away. Here's an interpretation of that for adults. Sometimes, insecure people blow loud as a conch shell to intimidate for fear of being discovered as an empty shell. The Fox and the Sick King. A lion pretended to be sick, and all the animals came to the cave to pay a sick call. But the fox saw that all the paw prints pointed into the cave, none out, and so the fox stayed out. Here's an interpretation of that for adults. Don't necessarily follow the crowd, especially if it's risky. For example, today's marijuana mania. Better to first observe lest you be, quote-unquote, eaten. Google the term marijuana dangers and you'll see. The Lion and the Four Bulls. 4 bulls agreed to stick together so as to avoid getting eaten by the lion. But the lion whispered gossip and falsehoods into each bull's ears, thereby creating dissension. Thus the bulls quarreled, broke apart, and the lion ate them all. Here's an interpretation of that for adults. Beware of people you suspect could use subterfuge to break apart alliances so they can triumph. For example, in your workplace, two of you agree on the importance of a new initiative. It's not above an unscrupulous opponent to whisper to you that your colleague is sabotaging you, bad-mouthing you, and withholding key information. All of that may be untrue, but that rival wants not only to break your alliance, but wants your job. The lesson? Take advice with grains of salt, especially from those who stand to gain if you follow the advice. And finally, the wolf and the crane. The wolf, in devouring his prey, got a bone stuck in his throat and begged to pay the crane to remove it. The crane did, but the wolf refused to pay. "You had your head in my mouth. You're lucky I didn't eat you." An interpretation for adults: working for a mean person is risky indeed. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and especially like it if you hit the share button below. Share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. In any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.